Ah, the moment of truth. The game show that may or may not have completely ruined at least one marriage. Based on a Colombian game show, The Moment of Truth aired on Fox from January to August in 2008, and I honestly can't believe it lasted that long. Now, there is something to watching people make a complete ass of themselves on the other side of the screen, because they're the ones who have to face the consequences. They're the ones who have to live with themselves afterwards, and they're the ones who make you feel way better about yourself. But sometimes it just goes a little too far. The Moment of Truth is a game show that's all about airing your dirty laundry for money. People go on and have to reveal harsh truths about themselves to Mark L. Wahlberg. Yes, I could make a joke about how he's not the Mark Wahlberg you're all thinking of, but I'm pretty sure Chris James already made that joke years ago. Anyway, each participant is given a polygraph test before going on, and yes, I know these polygraph tests aren't completely infallible, but suspension of disbelief is so important, so please just bear with me. After taking the test, the participant is put in the hot seat, where they'll be asked the same questions again, only this time they're in front of their loved ones, and a live studio audience, and whoever was watching Fox reality shows throughout the bulk of 2008. I would be a terrible participant on this show because personally, I don't have that many secrets. I'm one of those people who doesn't really hold back telling people stuff about them. Some might call it being an open book. Some might call it trauma dumping. I think my biggest gripe with this show is that it feels like a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. Like, yeah, you might win a bunch of money, but at what cost? You're gonna open 1,000,000 cans of worms to your friends and family, and while the show stipulates you can take the money and run at any point before being asked another question, I still feel like that's going to lead to so many other problems, like, what did you not want getting out there? It feels yucky, but if you're a nosy bitch like me, you should probably subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I'll be covering more shows just like this. Today's episode features Ty Keck, a former New York Giant and current personal trainer. He sits in the hot seat very calm, very cool, and very collected. Seated across from him on the dais are his wife Katya and two friends, April and Martez, I think.
Martez, Ty's friend.
Before we get into it any further, I just need to sidebar here and tell you how completely frustrating it was for me to understand so many of the names mentioned on this episode. Maybe it was just the quality of the recording I found, but it took me 5 tries to realize the wife's name was Katya and not Tasha or Todd like I thought it was at first.
Katya, Ty's wife.
And I'm still not sure if this friend is Martez or Marquez or what. I truly hope I don't have any of the names wrong, but if I do, just know that I tried. On The Moment of Truth, each round features a certain amount of questions that are designed to earn an increment of the potential $500,000 at the end of this. The first 6 questions Ty has to answer for $10,000 are fairly tame. Stuff like, has he ever played sick to get out of a personal training session? Or has he ever hit someone's car and not left a note? Oddly enough, though, the question that I thought was largely the tamest of the bunch got the biggest reaction from Martez.
While you were in college, did you ever get a passing grade just because you were on the football team?
And Martez looks absolutely scandalized by this. My first thought was this was either some deceptive editing to make the show look more dramatic, or there's a bigger story to tell here. Like, I wonder if that was a thing between them in school, you know? Martez studies and works really hard, but Ty coasts on his athletic abilities, something like that maybe, but clearly I'm just speculating here. Now, I'm all about academic integrity. I think school is very important. Both of my parents are teachers, all that good stuff. However, of all the secrets there could be to uncover about someone, this one would be just mildly annoying to find out about. It's really bland. So anyway, Ty says no, which is revealed to be the truth, and his friendship with Martez remains unscathed for now. Ty is also asked if he thinks he's better looking than all of his friends, and he says yes, which Martez thinks is hilarious. What a friendship these two have. Mark L. Wahlberg brings out a special guest to ask the last question of the first round, and that guest is another person whose name I just could not parse out. I listened to him say it about 20 times. I Googled every possible thing I thought his name was. I even put the subtitles on, and they had no idea what was happening. I know he was an NFL quarterback for sure, though, and I'm pretty sure I heard Roger the first several times I heard his name. But then I'm also pretty sure I heard Rodney at some point, so if you know who this guy is, please tell me so I can sleep tonight. The special guest, so-and-so, asks Ty if he ever snuck a peek at another player's undercarriage while they were in the showers. Real nice stuff. With $10,000 easily earned, Ty goes on to the next round where the questions start getting considerably harder to answer. Ty is given the option to take the money and run, but with his wife's approval, he decides to keep going. And speaking of his wife, it seems like this round was built specifically to ruin their marriage. The first question Ty gets asked is whether he'd encourage Katya to get liposuction if she gains weight in the stomach.
Yes.
I've decided I hate this guy. Look, I get some people have a lot more stringent physical preferences than I might have, but this just makes me feel so bad for poor Katya, especially when she says she thought that he would say no. We are all worth so much more than the way we look, and I wish more people understood that. I wish I also understood that better when I look at myself, but anyway, let's move on. Ty has to answer whether he's suspected some of his friends have hit on his wife as well, and this is probably the easiest question he has to answer this round. Also, it's the only one that could leave Katya feeling good about herself or her marriage. When Ty says that he's had relations with someone the first day he met them, Katya is not impressed. She also does not love to hear that her husband has done something that would make her not trust him. Ty doesn't explain what this is because he doesn't want to dig a hole any deeper for himself. It's probably the smartest thing he could do in this situation, but I'm still on Katya's side of this whole thing. She is being put through the ringer. Hearing her husband's response to that question was tough enough, but to then have the next question be asked right after, it's so diabolical.
Since you've been married, have you used the internet to flirt with other women?
Insert insanely long dramatic pause here.
No.
Insanely long dramatic pause here.
True.
Thank God. Ty makes it to round 3 where $100,000 is on the line now. Katya is understandably nervous to hear what's going to come out of her husband's mouth, but she ultimately supports him continuing. Ty is asked if he thinks he's delayed having kids because he's not sure if he's going to be with Katya for the rest of his life, and I just... Now, I have not mentioned the button yet, but in front of Ty's wife and friends is a panic button of sorts. If any of Ty's guests feel uncomfortable with a question, they can press it and have that question replaced with another one. Katya looks to her husband's friends and says she's thinking about pressing it for this one, which I cannot blame her for. Martez talks her out of it for reasons unknown, so Ty has to answer the question. He says it's true, and my heart completely breaks for poor Katya. Like, why? Why marry someone if you're not sure they're the person you want to be with for the rest of your life? I don't understand. I'm gonna get heated if I keep going on about it. Katya is, as you can all imagine, not happy to hear that her husband very well might break up with her at some point, and April, yes, April is still there. April asks the million-dollar question.
I asked her if hearing this is worth $100,000.
And upon writing this script, I got kind of annoyed with that question. Katya clearly didn't want to hear it at all. Of course it wasn't worth $100,000. Especially not after what happens next. Ty is asked if he's ever touched a female client more than he was required to do, and he says no, which is revealed to be a lie and gets him sent home with nothing. Ty tries to weasel out of his response, tries to make it sound better as much as he can.
Well, it's one of those things that, when you're training people, yeah, you gotta physically touch them.
And I just want to reach through the screen and give Katya a big hug. On his way off the stage, Ty immediately tries to make things a little better by giving Katya a kiss, and she looks like she's trying so hard to keep it together while the cameras are still on them. Good God. So that dumpster fire was the moment of truth. I'm gonna go hop in the shower to wash the sleaze off myself, but you should stick around and watch another one of my videos. If you're new here, I cover old reality shows and sometimes game shows like this if the feeling strikes me. In one of my most underrated videos, if I do say so myself, I play along to an episode of Cash Cab and it goes so well. I've also covered shows like Super Nanny and Trading Spouses if that's more your jam. If you have any suggestions, make sure you leave them down below and maybe I'll cover them in a future video. Thank you so much for suffering along with me though. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I'm having the time of my life making these videos for you and I'd like to keep doing it for as long as I can. Thank you so much for watching and join me next time when I watch something else.